All right, imagine being one of the NFL's biggest rising stars. Millions in the bank, a mansion, a fiancée, and a future that's completely set. But instead of spending your nights celebrating that success, you're out in the middle of the night, driving around with loaded guns, hunting down people you think disrespected you. And when one of them ends up dead, the trail leads straight back to you. Aaron Hernandez had everything. But behind the fame, he was living a dangerous double life. A life filled with violence, paranoia, and a body count that kept growing. And by the time the truth came out, he wasn't just guilty of one murder. He had been covering up others. This is the real crime story of Aaron Hernandez. By June 2013, Aaron Hernandez was a full-blown superstar. He had a $40 million contract with the New England Patriots, a fiancée, a baby daughter, and a massive mansion in North Attleboro, Massachusetts. But inside that mansion, he was unraveling. Aaron was paranoid, violent, and surrounding himself with criminals. He was convinced that people were watching him, out to get him. His home was covered in security cameras, and he spent hours watching the footage, looking for threats that weren't there. Then, on June 17, 2013, the paranoia turned into murder. At 3:25 a.m., a jogger in North Attleboro found a body lying in an industrial lot. Multiple gunshot wounds, no wallet, no phone. The victim? 27-year-old Odin Lloyd, a semi-pro football player. And the moment police identified him, all eyes turned to Aaron Hernandez. Odin wasn't just some random guy. He was dating Hernandez's fiancée's sister. And the night before, Hernandez was the last person seen with him. Security footage showed everything. At 2:30 a.m., Hernandez and two of his friends, Carlos Ortiz and Ernest Wallace, were caught on camera picking up Odin Lloyd in a rented Nissan Altima. Lloyd got in the car, he never got out. At 3:23 a.m., cameras near the industrial park captured the Nissan Altima entering the lot, the same lot where Lloyd's body was found. Minutes later, the car left. By 3:30 a.m., Hernandez was back home, caught on his own security cameras holding a gun. And when police searched the Nissan Altima Hernandez rented, they found a shell casing that matched the bullets used to kill Odin Lloyd. Then they checked Hernandez's house and found something even more suspicious. The hard drive from his security system was missing, ripped out and thrown away right after the murder. At this point, Aaron Hernandez wasn't just a suspect. He was the only suspect. On June 26, 2013, Hernandez was arrested, dragged out of his mansion in handcuffs, charged with first-degree murder. The Patriots dropped him immediately. His contract was voided, his name was erased from team history, and his jerseys were pulled from stores. He went from NFL superstar to inmate in less than a week. But while he was sitting in his jail cell, waiting for trial, investigators uncovered something even worse. Because this wasn't Aaron Hernandez's first murder. Real quick, if you like this story so far, go ahead and like, comment, and hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you know, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next on Tailscape. All right, back to it. As Aaron Hernandez sat in a jail cell awaiting trial for Odin Lloyd's murder, investigators started digging deeper into his past. And what they found? This wasn't his first time pulling the trigger. A year earlier, on July 16, 2012, in Boston's South End, two men were sitting in a BMW at a stoplight after leaving a nightclub. Daniel De Abreu and Safiro Furtado, two immigrants from Cape Verde, had no idea they were being followed. Surveillance footage from the club that night showed Hernandez inside, watching them. Witnesses later testified that one of them had accidentally bumped into Hernandez earlier that night, spilling a drink on him. For most people, that's nothing. For Aaron Hernandez, that was a death sentence. Minutes after De Abreu and Furtado left the club, a silver SUV pulled up next to them at the light. Witnesses saw a man hanging out of the driver's side window with a .38 caliber revolver. 5 shots were fired into the BMW. Both De Abreu and Furtado were killed instantly, and the car rolled through the intersection and crashed into another vehicle. The SUV sped away and disappeared. For almost a year, the case went cold. No witnesses came forward, and the police had no solid leads. But when Hernandez got arrested for Odin Lloyd's murder, detectives started looking into any other violent incidents connected to him. And then, they found the silver SUV used in the double homicide, hidden in Hernandez's cousin's garage in Bristol, Connecticut. bullet casings inside matched the ones found at the crime scene. Now, police weren't just looking at one murder, they were connecting Hernandez to multiple homicides. But here's where it gets even wilder. While Hernandez was sitting in jail, he was still trying to cover his tracks. One of his closest friends, Alexander Bradley, suddenly became a problem. Bradley had been Hernandez's right-hand man for years, someone who knew too much. And in February 2013, just months after the Boston double homicide, Hernandez invited Bradley to a club in Florida. But later that night, instead of taking him home, Hernandez drove him to an abandoned road, pulled out a gun, and shot him in the face. Somehow, Bradley survived. Hernandez, thinking he was dead, drove off and left him there. But Bradley lived and later testified against him. By the time Hernandez went to trial for Odin Lloyd's murder in 2015, prosecutors had mountains of evidence. The security footage showing Hernandez picking up Lloyd, the bullet casings in the rental car, the missing hard drive from his security system, the fact that Hernandez texted Lloyd that night, telling him they needed to talk. And after weeks of testimony, the jury made their decision. On April 15, 2015, Aaron Hernandez was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. But the Boston double homicide case still wasn't over. In 2017, Hernandez went back on trial for the murders of Diabreu and Furtado, but this time he was acquitted. Not because he was innocent, but because the prosecution's case wasn't as strong as the one for Odin Lloyd. And for a brief moment, it looked like Hernandez might avoid multiple life sentences. But just days after the verdict, he was found dead in his prison cell. On April 19, 2017, just 5 days after being acquitted of the 2012 Boston double homicide, Aaron Hernandez was found hanging from a bedsheet in his prison cell at the Sousa Baranowski Correctional Center in Massachusetts. He was 27 years old. Guards discovered his body at 3:05 a.m. The scene was unsettling. Hernandez had jammed cardboard into the door tracks of his cell, blocking anyone from opening it quickly. Shampoo was smeared on the floor, making it harder to gain footing. He had written Bible verses on his forehead in ink, and next to his body, 3 handwritten letters, one to his fiancée Shayana Jenkins, one to his daughter, and one to his lawyer. Despite attempts to revive him, he was pronounced dead at 4:07 a.m. It looked like a clear-cut suicide, but just like everything else in his life, nothing was simple. The timing of his death raised questions immediately. Just 2 days earlier, Hernandez had been talking with his fiancée on the phone. He seemed happy, even optimistic. His final words to her? "You're rich." At first, it didn't make sense. He had just been acquitted in the double murder case, and even though he was still serving a life sentence for Odin Lloyd's murder, he had filed an appeal. But then, people started digging deeper. Massachusetts had a legal loophole called abatement ab initio. Basically, if a convicted person dies while their appeal is still pending, the conviction is automatically erased, as if it never happened. And Aaron Hernandez knew that. By dying before his appeal was finalized, his murder conviction would be overturned. And in his mind, that could open the door for his family to collect millions from the Patriots. But if that was his plan, it didn't work. Odin Lloyd's family fought back in court, and by 2019, Massachusetts changed the law, reinstating Hernandez's conviction. So in the end, his family got nothing. But the biggest revelation came after his death. Doctors at Boston University examined Hernandez's brain, and what they found: severe CTE, one of the worst cases ever recorded in a young athlete. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy is a degenerative brain disease caused by repeated head trauma, and Hernandez's brain was destroyed. His frontal lobe, the part that controls impulse and judgment, was severely damaged. The areas responsible for emotion and decision-making were deteriorated. His brain looked like that of an 80-year-old with late-stage Alzheimer's. His lawyers argued that CTE played a massive role in his violent behavior, and many experts believe it contributed to his paranoia, aggression, and decision-making. But here's the thing: CTE or not, Aaron Hernandez made choices. He had everything: fame, money, a future. And instead of walking away from violence, he embraced it. One moment, he was catching passes from Tom Brady. The next, he was sitting in a courtroom watching his entire life disappear. A $40 million contract gone, a career erased, a family shattered, and all because deep down, Aaron Hernandez wasn't just a football player, he was a killer. That's the story. Now I want to hear what you think. Drop a comment below. Let's talk about it. And if you like this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.